Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture, along with our celebrity legal issues and news. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Please, if you hit the like button. If you're here, go ahead and hit that like button. That is very important. Hit the like button. All right. We've got a lot of news to cover. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. I'm going to go over some news that I have that has come out this week. I am going to go over some more Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds information, along with Justin Baldoni. I was trying to do it at the last one, but I couldn't get my TikTok information. But I believe I have my TikTok information. We're going to go over that information. We're also going to go and update briefly about what's going on with Jay-Z. I am aware, there are so many lawsuits coming out with Sean Diddy Combs, and I have actually lost track of them. But hopefully, I have an article that's up to date to a certain time that we could probably go over the newer ones, just kind of go over, just talk about them. I don't have the lawsuits for them. I don't have any of that information. I just see that, excuse me, that there have been some more lawsuits that have come out. There's some people that in New York that have sued him and all those things. So let's get into my very first information that I want to go over. Let's talk about Joe Budden. Okay, so Joe Budden has been in the news, not really in the news, but if you follow or watch the Joe Budden podcast, you started to notice a few things. One of the things you started to notice was the fact that Joe Budden, place where they filmed the live stream, is back to where they were filming the live stream when it was Rory and Mal on there. You remember that? And then we found out that Joe Budden, and I do believe I reported on it, that we found out that Joe Budden had been arrested for lewdness. Okay, so let me share my screen. I got it's an article from Vibe written by Preezy Brown. So hold on just one moment. Let me present that. All right. So let's talk about Sir Joe Budden. So apparently he was arrested for lewdness, and there was a press brief presented by the police department in that area that he lives in. And so Joe Budden explains how he got his disorderly lewdness charge dismissed. Now this is apparently he talked about this on his podcast. So if you want to hear him talk about it, but Vibe is just covering what he said. It says here, Joe Budden's legal battle regarding his alleged act of lewdness appeared to be over as the podcaster's charge was dismissed following his recent appearance in court. On the latest episode of the Joe Budden podcast, the former rapper, who was recorded by a Ring camera attempting to enter a neighbor's apartment while naked, gave a recap of the proceedings in which he says worked largely in his favor. The 44-year-old, whose presence on air has been scarce since the news of the incident first surfaced on New Year's Eve, explained how he was able to avoid culpability for his bizarre behavior. Now, they don't talk about the bizarre behavior, I don't think, but the judge, according to what he says on his podcast, the judge presiding over his case ruled that his actions, as seen on the Ring camera footage provided by the plaintiff, weren't in violation of the letter of the law in regards to stalking or lewdness. She was fair, reasonable, heard all the testimony, was attentive, and wasn't on no BS, the pump it up MC told his audience and co-host of the judge. Mr. Budden was not stiff. He was not self-serving himself. He recalled the judge telling the plaintiffs while addressing the court one time that he did touch his extended body part. He appeared to be trying to cover himself. Mr. Budden was not trying to forcibly enter your place. So the judge also noted that he was not seen pleasuring himself on camera, so he didn't get the lewdness charge. It was determined that Bud appeared to be attempting to keep from urinating on himself in the clip rather than anything in a self-serving nature. While the charge against him were dismissed, the judge did leave Budden with a bit of advice, which says he fully plans on heeding in the future. Mr. Budden, please take the necessary precautions to make sure that this never happens again. So, according to this incident happened on December 4th. In his apartment building in Edgewater, New Jersey. Now, it is my understanding that this is where he taped the Joe Budden show. And now I've had two differing information. Some say that he has two apartments there. He has one that he used as a studio, and he has another one that he uses as a home. I don't know if it's all in the same place or not, because some people say it's all in the same place. He lives where the studio where he's recording. Other people say that his apartment that they see that we see on the Joe Budden show is his studio, and then he has another apartment in the same building. Not sure. But also what it was reported too is that, quote unquote, Joe Budden apparently allegedly has a sleepwalking problem, and Joe Budden says that he sleeps in the nude. So whatever this reasoning or whatever was going on with Joe Budden, he's got to get that together. No one is making any more information or statements as of me getting on here, because I haven't looked back on that. But no one's making any more statements in regards to it. It's just that, again, it's quite strange to be out here. I don't know if you were drunk. I don't know if you were sleepwalking. We don't really know what you were doing. I don't have the information from the court. And it's nothing that I'm going to go really search for. However, according to Joe Budden and Vibe magazine and what he said on his podcast, his case of lewdness that was stemming from the December 4th, 2024 incident has been dismissed. All right. All right. Do I have one on this one? Hold on. All right. Let's get into this this information real quick. Let me share my screen. Looks like Alec Baldwin is suing New Mexico for malicious prosecution after dismissal of involuntary manslaughter charge in the Russ shooting. Now, if you all are familiar, I followed this until it stopped. We were following the Alec Baldwin case, and then after like 2 or 3 days of testimony, the judge dismissed this case with prejudice because they found out that bullets, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, that bullets that were used on the Rust site were filed in a different case number. And they were filed in a different case number, and I don't believe that they were tested. And the prosecution did not talk about those bullets. The prosecution that was there was basically saying that those bullets didn't have any bearing on the case, or they didn't look like the bullets or anything like that in the case. The judge begged to differ. There was this big old song and dance in court where everybody had to put their gloves on, and then they opened the case, and then those bullets were looking like some of the bullets from the Rust case. It was a whole lot of stuff going on. But anyway, all of that to say is Baldwin is now wanting to sue the prosecution for malicious prosecution. So let's read what they're saying. And this article is from People, and it was written by Charmaine Patterson. Let's go. Alec Baldwin has filed a malicious prosecution lawsuit Monday after an involuntary manslaughter charge against him stemming from the 2021 Rush shooting was dropped. In a civil complaint obtained by People on Thursday, January 9th, the actor sued prosecutors in the case, first judicial attorneys for Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, authorities, and Santa Fe County Board of County Commissioners for malicious abuse, for malicious abuse of process, intentional spoliation of evidence, defamation, and violation of the New Mexico Civil Rights Act. I'm going to continue. Baldwin, through his attorneys, alleged defendants were blinded by the desire to convict him for all the wrong reasons and at any cost for the fatal 2021 shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. He was indicted in January 2024 after a gun he was holding on the set of the film Rush discharged on October 2021, killing Hutchins. In his lawsuit, Baldwin maintains that on the day of the fatal shooting, he was handed a prop gun and a crew member yelled out, "Cold gun," to assure Baldwin and those nearby that the firearm had only dummy rounds in it. The prop fired a live round that ended up pruning Miss Hutchins from the timeline. He alleges certain defendants purposely hid evidence and lied while on stand, aiming to make Baldwin the scapegoat for the tragedy. He wants the defendants, which includes Special Prosecutor Kari Morrison, District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwez, to be held accountable for their malicious and unlawful pursuit against him. Alec Baldwin said, "Y'all sat up here and lied on me, and I'm not fixed. I just will not have all of that. I will not have it." What do you all think about that? Again, it was, you could go back, I think Law and Order here on YouTube or Court TV. It's not a long watch because it's probably about, when we get to because that judge was so mad. She was so mad when she saw them bullets and everything like that. She was so upset. And then the special prosecutor, she knew about, there was a whole meeting held for this. She was in the meeting. She knew about the meeting, and she just made the decision that she wasn't going to put these bullets in. Instead of them testing these bullets and filing it under the information with the Rush case, they filed it in a whole different case number. So it wasn't going to show up. It was going to, they received it, but it wasn't going to show up under the Rush trial. They were just hoping to completely not have those bullets in place. Child, a mess. All right, so let me set this information up really quick. We'll get to it. Y'all hit that like button for me. I do appreciate this. We're going to go in real quickly. There's no information to pull up on this one. Pete Peterson and Cooper, I've done a video on this for Meg Thee Stallion, so please go back into that video. But let me just explain what's going on with that particular case. You noticed that a couple of weeks ago, Meg Thee Stallion filed for a civil restraining order against Tory Lanez, aka Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez. Sorry. So we see that the restraining order was granted. If you go back to that video, it was granted. And we also listened to some of the jailhouse tapes that they had provided for the court in regards to that that incident. We also learned a couple of things. We learned that, number one, Tory Lanez, because we know that Milagro Cooper is being represented by is it Civil United Citizens, Civil United? But anyway, they are a nonprofit law firm that handles cases for people who can't afford to handle pay for lawyers and everything like that. They do injustice and things like that. They fight for the underdog. So they are working with Milagro on this case. We find out that Tory Lanez, prior to him being incarcerated, he was on the board of directors of that nonprofit entity. We also learned that Tory Lanez has garnered up to 3 infractions, with 2 of the infractions having to do with having a cell phone. He was not supposed to have a cell phone, and I can't remember what the 3rd infraction was. And he's saying that because he's had these 3 infractions, he's on a certain level in jail, which doesn't allow for him to have a certain amount of privileges. And one of the things that he's now looking forward and working towards is he wanted to work on the fire brigade. Now, if you're not familiar, California has a program where you have prisoners who meet the qualifications, whether they're on a certain level in with no infractions or anything like that. They are trained to help fight fires. And what happens is, once they do that and they go out and they perform this service, they get time taken off their record. So he is hoping to do some type of reform in that measure, so that his time, because it could cut off 6 months. I think, if I remember what he was saying in the tapes, go back to my video about it. I think he was saying that he could get up to 6 months taken off of his record. So he's now understanding and looking at seeing if he can get some time taken off his record, because all of this, having somebody bring him a cell phone or him having access to a cell phone, and the other infraction that he was charged with, is not working into his benefit. So now he's trying to make sure that he's doing what he needs to do, which, that should have been the first. You could work with your lawyers to get your stuff out, but you definitely should have been working on that option, so that you could get out and get some counseling and do whatever it is you need to do to get that done. So as I was talking about that, I was scrolling through trying to see if this article, because it's a lot with Sean Diddy Combs, it is a lot. So we do know with we know the trial is set for May 5th for him and this with the U.S. government. So his trial is set for May 5th. We will be looking at that. Let's see. So it says here, and like I said, there were a lot of lawsuits that I knew about but hadn't talked about. So we're gonna go over that, and this may even be including some of the ones that we already know about. So you remember back in October, he was hit with these lawsuits from Tony Busby, and one of those lawsuits included Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z. But since then, there have been several other lawsuits that have come about. So there were 6 more filed, I think, in October the 20th. Let's see. The filings included reports of Combs allegedly SAing men, women, and children at various parties that he's had. We have a pair of John Does that were reported. Let's see. John Doe says he was assaulted by Diddy and a bodyguard back in 2008. Let's see. In November 29th, we've got a fashion designer claiming that Diddy had physically PA'd her. And then we got that infamous VMA incident, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in a few minutes. I was just trying to see, let's see. We have an Oklahoma native filing a report that she had been assaulted after she won a radio station contest held by Bad Boy Records. And I think that ends it. So we don't have the newer ones on this article. So I apologize. But I wanted to get through that to see if we have that. So let's get into this article by TMZ. All right. So Jay-Z blasts Tony Busby over our claim. You ought to be sanctioned. So again, TMZ doesn't ever put the who write this, so it must be a collective effort. It says here, Jay-Z wants a piece of attorney Busby's hide. Now, let me update you just clearly what has happened so far as I know it. Jay-Z then, we had the judge come back and tell them basically, look, you all are going to follow court procedures. You all are not going to continuously keep filing information and not allowing for court procedures to play out. You're not going to file a charge and then want somebody to file another charge and you want me to expedite everything. We're not going to do that. You're going to file this charge. You're going to wait for the response. And then we're going to wait for you to respond to the response. And then after you have filed to the response, we're going to see if they have another response. And if they do, you file for that response. And then after that, I'll make a decision whether I need to hear this, or I'll make a decision or a ruling as such. So he has filed for him to be dismissed from the case. So there has not been a ruling in regards to that, but he has to wait for the Busby team to answer that. Once they answer that, they have to rebuttal, and then the judge is going to make a decision whether or not that he is going to be dismissed from this case and not from the information and the evidence that they provided back in December. So Jay-Z wants a piece of attorney Busby's hide. Legally speaking, he's demanding a court sanction Busby for what Jay-Z calls the false essay lawsuit that damaged his reputation. According to Jay's new motion filed by his lawyer, Busby did not conduct even the most rudimentary investigation into the shocking claims made by his Jane Doe client. The woman alleged Jay-Z and Diddy essayed her after an MTV award. And one of the things that was coming out of this as well was the fact that Jay-Z's lawyer tried to distance him from Diddy, but we all can see that Jay-Z and Diddy they go to each other's parties, they support all their little different things. You can counter believe that they have been, you could say that not only are they colleagues, but they're friends as well. And they've been trying to distance themselves from them. In his filing, Jay-Z also points out that Busby did not withdraw the lawsuit after an NBC News interview with the accuser aired, and it cast doubt on most of the details that she had. So they're just going back over what they did back in December that the judge had chastised him for. So he's basically wanting, they've come with the new route, basically saying this is the information that we have. They should have filed for a dismissal because they don't have the correct information. And one of the things that they did talk about was the fact that the accuser, her information was incorrect. There is no mansion in the 20 minutes from the VMAs, and that they can't find such site. So maybe her memory is no. I'm not saying that it did not happen, but investigators have gone through and figured out that there is no site. So they're trying to argue whether or not that what happened to her, did it happen in New York like she said that it happened in New York. So they're clearly wanting to have him sanctioned for not vetting his witness properly. Now, Busby says, oh, it wasn't me. She was referred from another lawyer. They were supposed to vet them. And they're like, no, these are your clients. You're supposed to make sure that you vet them responsibly. All right. Y'all hit that like button. And we're doing good. So lastly, we're talking about Lively, Reynolds, and Baldoni. We've been talking about this probably for a couple of weeks now. And what I want to do with this is kind of go over some information that has been pulling from YouTube, pulling from TikTok. So let me do this. So we know that Justin Baldoni has filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. We also know that his attorney has been making the runs on all these different platforms, talking about cursorily talking about the case, letting people know that this lawsuit against the New York Times is going through, and that he is also going to sue Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds individually. He's going to sue them, and it's coming. So I wanted to kind of go over here because we've gone over the lawsuit. We've done all of that. But what I wanted to do is go over some of the things that some of the people on either TikTok or wherever they're from, some of the things that they have uncovered. One of the things that I look and see that they have uncovered is there is a scene in Deadpool, and there's also a deleted scene where they feel like Ryan Reynolds was mocking Justin Baldoni. And I want to go over that with you all too. Also, there's a couple of things because Ryan Reynolds was not a producer, he was not an actor, he was not anything on this production of It Ends With Us, but yet he's doing different things with this production. So I wanted to kind of go over what those things are. I didn't want to go over the stuff with Blake Lively. Not that I don't have, not that I'm like trying to set one thing, but I think we've talked about, and I put all my information about what Blake Lively was going through and everything like that. So I wanted to then kind of go through some of this stuff that seems to be weird to me. And this is more weird from Ryan Reynolds weird. Okay, because I don't understand because, well, let's get into it. Let me add this to the screen.
Goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous.
All right. Hold on, y'all. All right, so this is a YouTube video. Let me share my screen. And this is coming from ENEWS. All right, let's look at this, and we'll give some information about it.
You just had a baby too.
Did Ryan Reynolds troll Justin Baldoni?
Can y'all hear that? Hold on, it's not coming out speaker wise where it needs to. All right, let's try it again.
We're unpacking the internet speculation. Following the release of the film on streaming, sleuths are now questioning some of the dialogue in Ryan's superhero.
Let me know if you can hear this.
The bombshell accusations that are flying between Ryan's wife, Blake Lively, and her It Ends With Us director and star, Justin Baldoni. Among the many allegations, Blake has accused Justin of weight-shaming her on the set of the film, which was shot following the birth of her and Ryan's fourth child. For his part, Baldoni's attorney tells NBC News that he plans to sue the actress. He's also filed a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times for reporting on what he says are false allegations.
So he's planning on suing again, like I told you all before. He's planning on suing, and he's still suing the New York Times. We talked about one of the pundits, the legal pundits here on YouTube, is saying that she doesn't know if he's going to basically win that particular lawsuit, that they feel like they're doing it for publicity, but a lawsuit against Blake and Ryan Reynolds may have a different outcome.
Though the paper contends its story was meticulously and responsibly reported and said it plans to vigorously defend against the lawsuit. In the lawsuit obtained by ENEWS, Justin makes claims against Ryan Reynolds, saying that the actor aggressively berated Baldoni during a meeting at their penthouse in New York.
And everybody's having a different point of view. I think there were several people at that meeting, but everyone's different point of view. Ryan has come out and talked with TMZ and said, "Oh, I didn't berate him. I didn't do that. I didn't do that." And then you have other people saying, someone who was a representative from Sony, feeling like, "Wow, I don't understand why we're going through all of this." So it's a whole lot of, but we're just going to continue. I want to get to, here we go. This is what I want to get to now. Everyone is talking about this particular thing, and it's playing by Ryan Reynolds right here. He's playing NICEPOOL. Now, from my comic book people, there was no variant or anything called NICEPOOL in the comics. So this was something that Ryan Reynolds was a writer on Deadpool and Wolverine. So he wrote incidents. Now, there's certain things, and I hope you can see this, that I'm interested in. First of all, you see here that Ryan Reynolds is sporting a top bun. Now, if you look back at pictures at Justin Baldoni, he rocks a little top bun. That is one of the things. Now, NICEPOOL does not have the regenerative properties that all the other Deadpools have. He doesn't have all of those things. Also, they made a skit about his bulge. And a whole lot of other different things. And if you watch Deadpool, you know that NICEPOOL was shot by Ladypool. And in this sequence, he's going to be talking about Ladypool. Also, let's note that the voice actress of Ladypool, who was who? Blake Lively. Let's continue.
Fans have been circulating this moment from Ryan's latest film, Deadpool and Wolverine, in which Blake makes a cameo as Lady Deadpool, but it's the character of NICEPOOL, a self-identifying feminist, that fans are looking to as a potential real-life parallel to Justin.
But in here, everybody calls me NICEPOOL. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Ladypool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist, right?
According to IMDb, Deadpool and Wolverine was filmed between May of 2023 and January.
Y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that. There is another scene here too. Hey, Andre. There is another scene on here as well that he says, "Where is the intimacy coordinator?" And I don't know if this is the recording that it was in
2024, while It Ends With Us was shot between April of 2023 and May of 2024, meaning the two films were in production simultaneously. While we don't know for sure whether or not it was intentional trolling, one thing is for sure, the legal drama between Baldoni and Blake is just getting.
So this is not it. Let me see. Oh, I've got so much information. Let's see if it's in this one.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni took their fight from the...
And I'm just going to... I think this is it. Let's see if this is it.
Also singles out a particular line of dialogue about another alternate Deadpool, Ladypool, who is voiced by Lively.
She just had a baby too, and
We've done that one. I am trying to find that here is some of the deleted scenes.
Gag reel.
my calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement.
Baldoni does indeed co-host.
And see, that's a picture of how Baldoni has been looking, or how he presents himself when he's not on film. So you can kind of just, it would be a very, very sneakily they also talk here because, again, Ladypool is
Deadpool and Wolverine when Deadpool uses him as a human shield. Ladypool is shown shooting him multiple times in a scene set with a flower shop in the background, which is also a key setting in It Ends With Us. So how exactly did we get here? Lively filed the aforementioned...
So we have this. This is not the one. It may be a TikTok one. But the whole point of the matter is that we have all kinds of stuff going on. So let's get into the TMZ interview. This is the interview that I wanted you all to see, because TMZ is out here doing an interview with not MEGYNKELLY, excuse me. Justin Baldoni's attorney is doing an interview with MEGYNKELLY, and he's also done an interview with TMZ. And I want to be very interested in the exchange that happens.
Sprinklers on, and they thought it was.
And we will play this in its entirety from when he starts to talk about this. Here we go. So we'll listen to this and listen to this in its entirety.
All kinds of shoes, the whole shoe closet. We're waiting for it to fall in this ongoing battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. You know, of course, that this started with Blake Lively's lawsuit, goes back to last summer, and all of the stuff that happened while they were filming It Ends With Us. So the next step we've heard is that there's going to be a lawsuit, Justin filing a lawsuit against Leslie Sloan, who is the publicist for Blake Lively.
Right.
Their names and faces are getting pulled into this. So
What is that about? We know that.
So that's the first time I've seen that picture of Leslie Sloan, and she was mentioned in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, saying that she was playing both sides to the middle, that she was putting information out, and the information here's the way I understand it. So you have two separate PR teams going at it. So Justin's PR team is saying that the Sloan lady was the one who was actually putting out the bad press information on Blake Lively in an attempt to frame them for putting the information out. That was one piece of the information that I'm understanding. The other understanding is it was just organic, and that the bad press that she was getting is because Blake Lively is just not, she does not know how to do interviews. She's not really media trained. She goes off the cuff, and she's very sarcastic. So when she gets out here, she's off the cuff, she's sarcastic. It's not coming across well. And so Justin's team is saying they didn't put a smear out there on her. They were just getting together because they felt like Blake Lively's team was about to smear his name. But it ended up that all these interviews that she was doing for It Ends With Us, She wasn't coming off as a likable person. She was selling her merch when she should have been talking about the movie and DV, which the movie was based on. When she was asked about the movie, she didn't. She was more concerned about talking about the wardrobe and her role in the wardrobe. And she was very cursed. She really didn't really talk about the movie as much from the 2 interviews that I saw her in. So, ooh, you need to hey Kai, the more I read of the documentary and piece together what they said in public, I side-eye Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I think a lot of people, I remember hearing bad stories about JB before the premiere lunch. Ooh, if you've got some, send that information to me. I'm on Twitter, aka X, and just DM it to me there. I would be more than willing to see that, because I'd like if there's information out there, I want to be able to talk about it and promote it and put it out here as a balance as I talk about this whole situation. Because right now it's a little lopsided. It is lopsided towards Justin, simply because of all the information that has come out. Even things about, just like talking about this Deadpool and Wolverine thing movie, there was no need for those kind of gags to be in there, because in my opinion, if you knew that your wife was going through the stuff that your wife was going through, yes, you need to talk and confront this man. But number two, who was there to be protective of her? You didn't have anybody on set to, was there anybody to be on set? But yet there are these little sneaky little sly things that you put in the different movies that you have, that you're writing. That seems that if you're somebody like me, who's a basic public person who goes, and looks at movies and reviews, that seems kind of petty and spiteful, or whatever. Passive aggressive, I guess, is the better word for me. So let's continue with this interview, because there's a piece in here that I want y'all to hear that I got so tickled.
Justin has already sued the New York Times. The claim is that they have basically overlooked context and cherry-picked. And the allegation is that they've been dishonest. And that's the allegation that they've made in a takedown piece, which Justin's team calls it, of him in this war between him and Blake Lively.
And let me add a little caveat here. So it's gonna be a prelude to what's gonna happen. Y'all remember in Justin Baldoni's complaint that there was information in there about TMZ reaching out to them, wanting to get a story or information, or there was some information being asked about something. They had whoever their reporter was from TMZ was trying to get the information. So technically, TMZ is pretty much in the middle of this.
Lively. So the engineer on Justin's side is
the legal engineer
is Brian Friedman, who is somebody we've had on before and has a big presence in Hollywood, and he is joining us right now. Brian, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Thanks, Harvey. How are you?
We're good. So unless we have this wrong, our understanding is you are about to file a lawsuit against Blake's publicist, Leslie Sloan. Are we correct? And if so, is it a similar allegation to the New York Times case?
She'll definitely be sued. There's no question about that. I mean, it's just a matter of when and for what, and whether she's included with others or not. And frankly, I'm not prepared to give up our legal strategy. But you can rest assured that based on the investigation we've done.
So again, you have his attorney. This is Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, making it clear that they are in the works of suing Blake Lively and any other people that they need to on this suit. Hold on, let me finish this.
Done the text messages we have, the receipts that'll go along with that complaint. She's dead in the water, period.
I've heard you use that word before, Brian, receipts. Can you give us, I know you don't want to give away your legal strategy. What are those receipts? Who or what are they pertaining to? Can you give us some idea?
Well, let's just talk about Leslie Sloan for a minute. Those receipts are agreements that she made to keep things on the straight and narrow, to not leak stories, to not talk to press, to not provide information that was false, to not create negative stories, things like that. She breached that agreement. No question about it. I have the actual receipts. Those receipts are the text messages between her and various reporters.
Now, again, Leslie Sloan is supposed to be the PR person for Blake Lively, them. And if I'm remembering correctly, that she was planning stories out in the press, to try to, as who is it that said that? Besmirchify Justin Baldoni. And what ended up happening is that when Blake Lively got out there, there were things that were causing problems for Blake Lively. Remember, I talked about the wardrobe. Blake Lively took over that whole wardrobe department and then brought in her person in to come in to do the wardrobe. If you watch that video where I was reading the lawsuits, I couldn't understand who was the person that was supposed to be the money cruncher? Who was the person who was supposed to say, hey, this is going over budget. This shouldn't happen. But apparently everybody was walking on eggshells because they didn't want her to leave because she was considered at that time the bigger talent. But, you know, some of the wardrobe got leaked, and then the fans were not liking the wardrobe choices. And she was feeling like, oh, well, this was a smear campaign against her by Justin's and people, but it was something organic because, again, they were recording, they were filming, I believe, in New Jersey. Some of the set leaked, some of the set information leaked. People saw the wardrobe and they started bashing. But she's saying that Baldoni's team was the one that was doing that, causing all that bad press all of that bad press. But let's continue.
Those are clear. She planted stories. She gave information which was untrue. She created negative stories about Justin. And it's all there for everyone to see.
So let me ask you something, because I'm really grateful that we can have you on today. We are on the receiving end of a lot of this, and have been for 19 years. And I get what you're saying. I've read your lawsuit that you filed against the New York Times, and I can't make a judgment on it, but I understand the allegation, which is
Sorry about that. Things seems like it was stopped, and I had to make sure that I was still. Am I still streaming? It looks like I'm still streaming, but I need for somebody to say, yeah, you still streaming, or just put a thumbs up or some kind of emoji in the chat so I can see that I'm still streaming before I turn it back on. Okay, let's continue. Thank you.
is that you're saying that it wasn't an honest story, that there were things taken out of context, things overlooked, and you say it's defamatory. And I get the allegation. I really do understand that. But when it comes to publicists trying to manage a story, plant a story, skew a story, kill a story, we've seen that from every publicist in this town. So I don't understand why this case is different.
I think you'd have to ask Blake Lively and her people, because they're the ones that started this case. And they started this case by claiming there was a smear campaign. And what I'm about to show everyone, frankly, are the receipts that show it's not a smear campaign. As a matter of fact, the smear campaign was started by Leslie Sloan and Stephanie Jones. And it's all right there for everyone to see. And we're putting together, actually, a website where we're going to have every single text message, every single document. And
a website?
Any case I've been involved in, we're going to release all of these to the public. The truth is, because it's not about us anymore. It doesn't end with us. It ends with the truth, and it ends with people being able to actually verify and see what the text messages say, what really happened, what was important. And people can judge for themselves. I'm not even here to argue it. It's so clear. And what people are going to see is going to surprise them.
And we haven't seen that, so we can't judge it. But I kind of want to get back to this. Both sides tried to skew this story because we've been at the recipient end of that. Justin's team, Blake's team. They both came to us because they both tried to kill stories. They both tried to plant stories, and they both tried to do things to tarnish the other side.
Right, to make their client look better.
We're on that receiving end. We've seen it. So that's the part I don't get.
Well, I'd say this, Harvey, you just kind of made yourself a witness. So
Harvey, you made yourself a witness, child. A witness. But let's continue. I don't think Harvey was ready for that. Harvey was just trying to, his point was anybody that has a PR team, they're going to spend time to try to make their client look good or make somebody else look different. This is how PR teams go, back and forth, back and forth. What's the issue? What's the problem? And he's like, well, then, hey, you're a witness.
What I would say is say,
well, that's okay. I'm okay with that because I can talk about things that Blake's team did to him and things that Justin's team did to Blake. And I can talk about both.
You might be an expert witness, actually. And because you've been doing it for so long.
Because it sounds like something that we have seen for 19 years, Brian, that publicists,
that's what they do.
They create smear campaigns.
Yeah.
Is that what they do?
They do. I mean, Brian, that doesn't mean we buy it, but yes. And it's happened on both sides in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni war. Both sides.
That's good to know. But we'll see what the documents actually say, because that's what we have are documents. Documents actually don't lie. People do.
So basically, they're still gathering their information, but I wanted you all to see that because I was personally tickled. I was personally tickled because he walked into that like he walked into that. So we may see Harvey being a witness on this particular case. Who knows? Who knows? I just wanted to go over that. And then the other thing that I do wanted to go and show you all really quickly. This has not, this is just what the culture's feeling. The people out here who do that. So these are going to be the TikToks that I have found, and I will, once I finish this live, I'll put all of these information in the description so that you can go and you can click on them and you can find them yourselves. But these are TikToks from different TikTokers asking some questions or giving some information, and I will go ahead and start with this one. Hold on.
Remember when I had posted a video that said that why didn't Blake Lively file a sexual harassment complaint with SAG? And some folks were like, oh, SAG is not powerful enough. They can't do shit. And I'm like, that's not true. Because I've had conversations with people who are members of SAG, who are in the industry, that confirm exactly what I said, corroborated exactly what I said. SAG is very much powerful. And if there's any issues, if there is a violation of their guidelines that they put in place in order to protect their members, they will shut a production down in a heartbeat. So that was one of those questions that really, I was like, some ain't right in the backwater. Then in Blake Lively's complaints, one of the charges is failure to investigate, saying that she reported the sexual harassment, but HR did absolutely none of that. Okay. So riddle me this. If she reported the sexual harassment to Sony, a representative at Sony, and the feedback was, I can't help you, we're responsible for distribution, then why did the representative from Sony show up to the January 4th meeting? Why is there a text message between an unnamed source and a reporter from TMZ that says that Blake Lively never filed a sexual harassment complaint with HR? There is no record of a sexual harassment complaint with HR. And let me show you the screenshots. because anything can be deemed as sexual harassment. They threw that out there because they knew women, especially the feminist girlies, were going to get spun up, and that they were going to cancel and drag Justin Baldoni without asking any questions, without looking deeper into the suit. And that's exactly what happened with a lot of larger content creators on this app. Oh, I clocked it, where they're like, it's damning, he's guilty, he did this, but didn't even bother to constructively analyze the suits. And what's funny is some of them claim that they got a law degree, but okay. I'm just saying. There was no sexual harassment.
All right. That young lady is Bohemian Diva. Again, I'm gonna send the link down to the in the description bar, that y'all can see it.
WME came out today to say that they were not pressured by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to drop Justin as a client. As you know, they're the management agency that represented Justin. They also represented Blake Lively. And Justin, in this big lawsuit that they just dropped on the New York Times, claimed that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively back in the summer pressured them to drop Justin as a client back then. That was the bombshell, and everybody's been talking about it the last couple days. WME has specifically come out today and said, we were not pressured. They said that in Baldoni's file, he claimed that Reynolds pressured his agent to stop working with him at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. But they're denying that they were even there. And they're saying that they dropped him as a client on December 21st, mainly because of the Blake Lively lawsuit, but a myriad of other issues. I think this is just another twist in this saga that shows that there is truth over here, and the truth is actually somewhere in the middle. These people are just saying things and it's not all true. And like when we get a big bombshell that comes out like this, it then discredits what Justin is trying to say. This is going to come down to the battle of the credibility. Like, who are we going to be able to believe more? And I, as a lawyer reading both of the pleadings, find that Blake Lively had more specific evidence to show exactly what she said happened. I also felt like her pleading was much more professional and trying to toe the line of this is the evidence and this is what happened, where I felt like Justin's was much more dramatic and like out there to make you kind of get a reaction. What do you think?
All right. That was Jill Coyle, and that was her interview. I wanted to go over, let's see. Here's a couple of, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more that we're going to go over, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this. So this one right here was at the Golden Globes. Now, you remember in Justin's filing, he said something about, doing the final cut. So this was an interesting take in regards from the Golden Globe about that, because the movie, from what I understand, was Blake Lively's cut.
My producers. I'll be brief because I've kind of already said what I had to say. I just want to leave everyone with something to think about. Final cut tie break goes to the director. That's sort of a controversial statement. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be controversial at all. I was told that this film was undistributable. I was told that no one would come out.
And so I just wanted to go over that because we do understand that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds did not go to the Golden Globe Awards because they didn't want any attention I guess they didn't want any negative attention put forth on him. But I thought this was an interesting talk at the Golden Globes when they were talking about the final cut of the movie. Because you remember the editors were talking and excuse me. We saw the text messages from the editors. And so let's get into this one. Now, this one was interesting because this one, everyone's talking about the intimacy coordinator. Everybody is talking about the intimacy coordinator. Well, guess who else is talking about it?
Wait, did you see this interview though?
The intimacy coordinator in some of those sexier scenes, like we saw you.
That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have. Thank
You were
goodness.
teaching Justin how to pull you in.
Where
I
have you
love
seen
that?
this?
Okay, now you heard that. The lady sitting next to her is the woman, I believe, that wrote the story. And so here she is saying, oh, well, that's, you see how she, her demeanor in interviews. But let's continue. And this is coming from Marianne Nafsu's TikTok.
I actually just saw it too. It was on Instagram yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Blake, we saw it too. It's right here. And if you're still so conflicted about this whole entire thing,
And that's
read
the
both
wardrobe
lawsuits
people
from
were
beginning to end.
having
Justin
issues
hired
about.
a really great attorney, and he's not done. It's almost like he just started. Listen to what he said on the Megyn Kelly show today.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan.
Child, a mess. I've got two more. I have this was one that makes me side-eye Ryan Reynolds and deem him to be weird, because he's interviewing a cast member from the movie that he had no parts in. I don't understand why he's there.
Okay. Oh God,
This is cool. It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy.
I don't remember seeing this on the
Let's
schedule.
dive in, shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and I'm sorry, what do you call her? Do you guys have a nickname or something? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Okay. Anyway, I saw this photo. It was very suggestive. So I got it right here. I'm gonna get right to it. How do you explain that? Is that genetics? You have some sort of like low angle squat routine to pop that region in that way? I mean, what's going on here, man? Are you smuggling pumpkins? Got a couple of small pumpkins?
And he gives me SA vibes. How did this, what does this have to do with the overall scene of this thing? This seems almost self-serving to me on Ryan's part, but y'all let me know. But I clock this to be weird.
Small pumpkins there? Jesus Christ, my heart is beating like crazy right now. It reminds me of when I went on that meth journey, confront my inner child.
I think it was a meth journey. I think you mean like ayahuasca, like South American plant known for its medicinal benefits. Definitely not meth. You should not be doing a meth journey.
I've been on a meth journey for about 6 months now.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but you're probably gonna die.
Feel well.
You don't look well.
Let's talk motorcycles here. Do you ride?
Yeah, a little bit.
What kind of bike do you like to ride?
I mean, anything with 2 wheels and kickstand, right?
Honestly, that could be anything. I mean, as far as I know, you just described, riding Stephen Hawking.
Again, I'm still trying to figure out. This is not your movie. You are not a producer on this movie. We find out from your wife, who doesn't seem to know how to conduct interviews, and she'll tell everything and anything. We find out that you're writing scenes in this movie, but you're not on the list of anything to be doing anything like that in the first place. And now you are sitting here in the middle of the press run doing interviews. What is really going on and why? Did you all think that this was funny? Was this intentional? What's really going on here? This doesn't make much sense to me.
Through the Nevada desert in the middle of a summer heat wave. He's not going to make it.
Ryan?
Yep.
You want to take a break?
From Blake? Sure.
Hello, Brandon.
No.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest.
Why is Ryan Reynolds' mother in here? This makes absolutely no sense. None. And it says here unhinged. This is totally unhinged.
And the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan.
Just off the rocker. You think Ryan is immune because he's such a big big name in Hollywood? He's going to be immune? Sure. Yeah, it was really unhinged. And lastly, y'all, we have somebody reporting about what happened at the premiere. Now, this is Bethany Frankel. Now, if you're not familiar with Bethany Frankel, she used to be she won you remember when Martha Stewart was doing her version of The Apprentice? I think she won that. And she was also on Real Housewives of New York or New Jersey. I'm not really sure, child. On one of them. One of the Real House franchises.
I have the craziest It Ends With Us premiere story that I totally forgot about, and I'm putting the pieces together now. And I'm going to share something with you I haven't told anyone because I thought it would get me canceled. Okay. So I go to the It Ends With Us premiere with Danielle, who I work with. I wear a cute pink dress. I'm excited. I show up. I walk the carpet. Then something that I've never seen in over 20 years ago in movie premieres happens, and they say there's an hour between the carpet and the premiere. Now, maybe that happens. I've never seen that happen. Okay. So there's an hour and it's like too short to go to dinner, too long to stand there in stilettos. And so I see one of Blake's team members and they're a little distant and a little like icy to me. Just there's something that I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. And I've, in other circumstances, this person is not this way. And it was slightly off-putting to Danielle and I. We both like noted it. And then it was one of these theaters that has all these like escalators in it. Okay. So we're like, what do we do? So we go to get margaritas. And that night, like I had a malfunction, my strap came off and we went to drink margaritas. I think it was raining and we were like walking outside in the rain and it was just like a mess. But we were having fun because we got buzzed on these like mason jar margaritas and they were great. And we come back to see the movie. I'm excited to see the movie. And because I love Blake Lively, I'm so excited. So we walk upstairs and we see Anna Wintour. She passes us and I'm like, oh my God, wow, we'll do that another time, but like, let's park that. So then we keep walking and this guy says to me, oh, hey, Bethany, you know Justin, he was on your podcast. And he's in this one like line and we say hello to each other. I didn't remember who he was. I don't know why, but we say hello to each other. He was very nice. I think he was wearing purple. And he's in this one theater. And then we think this, we saw him. So we're just going into the theater. Not usually. Always, unless it's a weird different screenings, the premiere is in one giant theater and there might be like an overflow theater. Okay. But here, like he's in one theater, something's going on somewhere else. I saw Anna walk this way. So they take us and they put us all the way to the left in this theater where like nobody was in this theater. And it was just strange. It felt like everybody was separated. And I just called Danielle to be like, oh my God, like everybody was separated. I mean, now we're hearing about everybody being separated and the vibe was off. And so what I didn't tell anybody, because I was like, we'll be canceled, was we left because the vibes were not vibing. Like wasted hair, makeup, outfit to go to the city, drink a margarita in a mason jar, take a bucket of popcorn, take 2 bites, see Anna Wintour, see Justin Baldoni, and left to go back to Connecticut, like talk about blue balls. So something was definitely awry from the jump and it was palpable. And what they're getting canceled for is like, you don't go to a premiere and like walk the carpet and leave. Like you just don't do that. And it's sometimes they're really bad movies and you want to leave and you can't. But like, I remember calling my publicist and be like, the vibes were not vibing. Like we left, but it felt like I was doing something wrong, but it felt like I was also doing something right. Something was fucked.
So, y'all, there will be more information coming, and when they get that information, I'll definitely share it with you. But what do you all think about all of this? Again, I will put all of this information down in my description bar from the TikTok, from and I didn't use all of this, but I will put, because these were the ones that I have pulled up. But y'all, this is just going to be this is going to be a continued thing until we see if Justin Baldoni is going to sue Blake Lively or not. It's it's just up in the air. Should he? I figured, whatever you need to do to get to have name respect on your name. If you have not done all the things that these people have said that you've done, most definitely. What's the outcome is just going to depend on the jury. I mean, this is going to be a case that's going to go to the jury, and they're going to see, it's going to be a battle of who has the better lawyer and who is more believable in what's going on. Like I said, did something happen to spark all of this? Now, I do understand that there is the undercut, because I have said this, that it's about money and there's money to be made. We have found out that Justin Baldoni owns the rights to the books. And as we see that this movie clearly makes a lot of money, so there are some power plays going on in that. I do think it's some hurt feelings or anything like that. However, I guess we're going to see what the temperature of the climate and the temperature of the community when this case gets, when these two cases are put on the docket, and see who feels like they have the better case to continue to go. And I think for everyone's sake, I think it would be best to try to settle these cases, because everybody is already looking behind. Now, I know Blake's team is saying, oh, well, this is what happens when a woman complains, she gets shut down, and there is that level of information that they're wanting to do. I know that Justin Baldoni's team is saying, you all are trying to make me out into something that I am not, and I am going to fight. So we're going to see whose argument is going to be the one that outweighs it. You know, you have a lot of people now who are having issues and problems with, you remember with this Joy Taylor case, you know, with Ms. Farahi suing all these entities of Fox Sports. There was a portion in that lawsuit which a lot of people don't resonate with, and a lot of people are resonating a little bit on that same, not the same information, but the sentiment is pretty much the same, is that when you have a couple of women that are doing what they're doing to proceed in their future or whatever, if they don't get their way, then they'll file a lawsuit to get their way. Okay, so there's this undercurrent of that particular sentiment. Now, I'm not going to go into it. This will probably be, that would be a whole different video. And I don't know if I would do that video on this particular platform, probably do it in a different platform, because that requires us to talk about race relations and all kinds of different things going on here, relationships between men and women and all of those different things that I don't know if I want to do that on this particular platform or not. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a kin, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.